Evening, folks. Welcome to the Leeds View podcast, the second podcast of the week. Myself and Paul Brooker here to have a bit of a chat about the change of scenery around Elland Road this summer, not just in physical structures, but also in personnel as well, as several players look like they're about to head out the door, and there could be a lot of players coming back in. We're going to talk about the incomings at a later date. If you like this kind of content, you can subscribe to the channel or like this video. If you're following on any of the audios, you can give us a follow and a channel rating. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can like and subscribe. We are part of the Sports Social Podcast Network, and we are backed by OK Jerseys. 8% off World Cup shirts for a World Cup summer using the code TView in your checkout basket using the links down below. John and Paul, to have a little bit of a chat pod. How you doing, mate? You surviving the heat?
I have a big fan on my face. I went to the gym. Well, not one of those, you know what? I'm tired. I am very, very tired. It was thundery this morning as well, which was interesting.
Same here.
It's been do you know what? It's been all right. I was in London, which is why I couldn't be here on Monday, but London was sweltering, like hot, like 36 degrees hot in some areas. So I'm surviving as any typical white northern Englishman would be, which is I'm just going to bitch and moan about it until somebody tells me to stop.
Yeah, the Irish have a weird relationship with heat, as you can imagine. Most Irish people melt at 25 degrees, but you've got this part where when it's wet and cold, it's you've go down to the shops and you've the little old earies who are, oh, it's awful cold and it's too wet and you couldn't be putting up with this weather would depress you. And then as soon as the sun pokes its head up, Jesus, it's too warm. I couldn't be handling this. Where's that heat's awful out there. Never happens.
There's that Peter Kay joke, isn't there? It's like, oh, this is too warm for me. I like it warm. I don't like it this warm. It's one of those. It's one of those. My lad's been out in the back garden playing with his super soaker and having the absolute time of his life. So long may it continue.
My dog has passed out on a cold floor here beside me. I've been running around after all day trying to put cold towels on her to keep her cool because she's dying to go to the back garden. So
cat's the same. My cat does this. Has been laying like a crab. It's been quite funny. Like actually laying on the floor, spread out in a really bizarre, weird way. The dog doesn't know whether he's coming or going, bless him. So we've got tiles on the kitchen floor, so they just keep going into there.
Yeah.
They just like slide into the laying out like this. This is amazing. Just enjoying life, really. I wish I could do that. Just get naked and lay spread eagle.
Well, you could. You'd get in trouble probably, depending on where you're doing it.
Yeah, no, true. Social services would probably want a word with me if I did something like that. So
I think they definitely would, yeah. Added to the list of other things they might want to talk to you about as well.
Yeah, that's pretty much true.
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 So let's have a chat about Leeds because you know it's a slow news week when we start off talking about the weather, but it is in that weird period at the end of a season where there's little bits of stuff starting to come out. There's players that are gone off on their holidays for now. There's the World Cup coming up. Players are going and getting ready for international friendlies that are popping out in the next couple of weeks as well. And those not involved are getting some much needed downtime. The management and the staff behind the scenes are all probably taking a bit of well-deserved time off, but there has been some news coming out of the club, and it is a summer of change. And the more we look into what has been the talking point of the week, the SCR situation, it does become more and more apparent that Leeds will have to change quite a lot this summer in order just to rebalance everything and to make the steps forward that they'll want to make. So the surprising one that came out yesterday was the exit from the club of Maury Eisenberg, who is leaving his role as Chief Commercial Officer. Now, Maury Eisenberg has done an incredible job for Leeds. He's been a really smart appointment by the 49ers when he came in 3 years ago. We've seen record club revenues. He's part of the Elland Road development plan as well, which is that's off the ground already, and we never thought we'd see that happen. So there's lots of really good stuff that he has been involved in, and part of probably the most stable financial period in the club has had for a very long time. So he's done a lot of good stuff. He is heading off to become the CEO of the what's it called? The
San Diego
Wave.
There you
go. NWSL San Diego Wave. I believe that's a women's football team, isn't it? That's the National Soccer League, isn't it? Over in America, Soccer League over in America. Yeah. So fair play to him. Big money in the women's game over in America. So best luck to Maury Eisenberg. But no change from Leeds. No new person being appointed just yet. But given how successful he's been, Paul, over the last 3 years and where Leeds' finances are right now, no club debt anymore, which is massive, that credit card bill that they inherited. Yep. So they have to get the next one right when they're bringing him in. So we're not just hiring players. And as Robbie Evans said in his statements, the problem with like players hiring excellent people who do excellent jobs is they attract interest from elsewhere. They're going to have to recruit a chief financial officer or chief commercial officer who's of a level par with him if they're going to upgrade that position in the board.
Yeah, I think reading the statement yesterday, it looks as though he's going to be there until, I think, the end of August is what they were saying in the actual statement itself. So there seems to be sort of almost like this 3-month period, if you like, the notice period of somebody leaving. And I think there's going to be an opportunity for there to be kind of almost like a steady handover. Potentially, you would hope that would be the case, that that's what the club is looking to do, because you're absolutely correct. In fact, spare me 1 second because I can hear my fan and it's annoying. I'm going to turn it off. In fact, right, I'll for the people watching visually, as opposed to not watching visually, if I start to get really red or my face starts to go shiny, there's a reason for that, and it's because I need to look at manual labour and I sweat, so it's fine.
I love how uncomfortable you are with the heat, your face, your body language, everything about you. It's like, I'm so uncomfortable right now.
It's terrible. The underboob sweat's going to start. I'm going to feel a little bit running down my back and everything. It's just minging. But yeah, so he's done an absolutely fantastic job at the club. A really, really good job at the club, like you say. Very, very sensible appointment. Was very prominent in the new stadium development, making sure that those plans went through, but also as well overseeing and creating new revenue streams for the club. So we've consistently broken records. Depending on which financier you listen to, we're going to turn over as a minimum, I think, in terms of 24-25, somewhere in the region of about £260 million this year, which is absolutely incredible for us and for where we are. And as you pointed out with the what's the credit card debt that Rads and it's also a very, very important thing because it just helps out from, like you were just about to say, the SCR point of view, but it is really, really important that we get somebody in who is going to do a similar sort of job, or a job that is as good as the one that Murray did. Definitely.
Yeah, it is. I'm just turning my fan on my laptop now because it's starting to heat up. Yeah, it is. It's an important one to get right because, especially on this SCR model, although it's on-field revenue is what it takes into consideration, it's still, well, what of that revenue can you actually tie to on-field? Like, how much of the commercial revenue can be linked in some way towards on-field revenue as well, or whatever the determination between them is.
Sorry to interject. There's some places on there that are saying that it's total revenue.
It's not total. PSR was total revenue. It's football related revenue.
So that's people still confusing the two, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I actually have it here. I'll see if I can find it, because I had it the other day on the news video. I might have saved it as an image just to show up for those who are watching. Did I save it? It's on the news video today. Anyway, there's the actual definition.
Google AI is about to be incredible for me. So let me just have a quick look.
It's in the news video, but yeah, it's football related revenue versus total revenue, club revenue, which the whole point of this is it shuts the window of the likes of Chelsea selling assets to yourself.
That's it, correct.
To bring in extra revenue. So it closes that loophole. However, though, does that mean that football shirt sales from the club store are football related revenue because they are part of the football merchandise? So we will get somebody who's got far more insight into this to give us the actual ins and outs of what that looks like over the next couple of weeks, because it is important.
Yeah, so this is just if people want to know, and just to get it out. So the squad cost ratio is calculated using the club's total football related revenue. It's adjusted revenue base rather than its absolute overall commercial corporate revenue. The new Premier League and EFL financial framework specifically isolates core football activities to ensure that a team's spending power directly reflects its operations as a sporting entity. Included in SCR revenue, so this is the important bit, operating revenue, player trading, stadium events, which is another interesting thing. What is explicitly excluded? Asset sales. So selling off parts of the ground, as you just mentioned, selling the club for 200 million, all of that kind of stuff, and also uncapped owner injections.
Yes, that was pretty much limited enough under PSR, an owner could write off whatever amount of debt they wanted with their own money, but they couldn't directly put the money in to be used as sales. Although we know clubs have done that. And according to some knowledge out there, the Man City 115 charges will have a result before the World Cup. I wonder will that tie in with the vote the Premier League are having on to remove sporting sanctions from financial irregularities. I wonder does that tie in nicely with that one, but
with Pep leaving and everything. So from a summary point of view, under these guidelines, clubs competing strictly in domestic competitions are restricted to spending a maximum of 85% of this adjusted football revenue on squad costs, player, manager wages, agent fees, and amortized transfer costs. For clubs competing in Europe, and this is a big talking point for me this week, Jerry, I'm not going to get into it, but it's been a big talking point for me this week. That limit drops to 70%. To match UEFA regulations, which is a much more strict and stringent model in Europe because of everything that's gone on in Europe, where clubs have just gone to the absolute wall.
Barcelona and the antics that they've been trying out with the way they've been buying and selling players. Love to know where they're getting their money from. But if you want to get a closer look at this and what it has looked like historically, Aston Villa are a great model for this because they have been struggling under this model as part of UEFA's model, which has seen them get fines. But that's why Villa have one big player sale every summer. In some cases, they sell Douglas Luiz and end up getting him back for half the price a year later. So they have to get cute with some of the finances. So that's why when you hear Paraag, they talk about the fact that Leeds will need to have exits as well as incomings. That's where that ties in. And again, to the stadium stuff, going back to what Kieran Maguire said about this as well. Bristol City, as an example, their major redevelopment brought in 10 million extra from an SCR ceiling perspective. Leeds are looking at owning that entire area. So any of the any of the corporate money that comes in related to football from that area will go straight into the club as well. So that helps with that as well. Kieran Maguire, by the way, said if Leeds can navigate the next 2 summers and stay in the Premier League, they'll have one of the highest SCR ceilings of any team in the Premier League outside of the traditional Big Six. So we could be in a very strong position. I know, and we all know why the 49ers voted against this model originally, because in the next 2 years, PSR actually was more beneficial. In the longer term, this is more beneficial, but you've got to survive. Correct. So that's where that comes from. So yeah, long story short, we need to get somebody in from a chief financial officer perspective to replace Maury Eisenberg, who can navigate all of this and keep Leeds United on a positive trajectory. So fingers crossed they can. And it does look like it's going to be an interesting summer from that perspective as well. They'll have to get creative. And the interesting thing in Marate's statement, Paul, that he said was transfers this summer will have to be more strategic. And I would have said that Leeds transfers over the last 2 summer transfer windows have been very strategic.
Correct. They need. I've said this a couple of times in videos that I've done, and that is that we have to, for us to improve where we are, or for us to slowly move up the table and bridge that gap from the lower portion of the table to the middle portion of the table and then going into the top 6. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we are constantly changing or churning the squad, not massively, not hugely, but churning the squad so we're raising the ceiling. And to enable us to do that, that does mean sometimes having to sell your better players. So a Pascal Struijk that is going to give us a massive SCR boost because of the amount of money. A Willie Nonto that's going to, again, give us a massive SCR boost. So that, when he says strategic, that is exactly what he means. It's looking at what is going to give us the best return for a player that we send out, what will give us the best return to enable us to improve the squad. And if you can make, for argument's sake, 2 player sales, and those 2 player sales generate you in and around 50 million quid, there's potentially 3, maybe 4 players there that you could go and get that is going to raise the ceiling of the squad for the cost of selling 2 players. And that's what we need to get used to a little bit. So the Brighton model, the best example of it is Bournemouth. That they've done incredible at what they've done. We all said at the start of this season, despite the players that they brought in, that they were going to absolutely struggle this season.
Yeah. Goalkeeper, entire backline was all sold.
Correct.
Full rebuild of defense. Incredible job Areola's done. Incredible job.
Unbelievable. I still can't believe that they're letting him go, but his decision's been made. But there's Juventus he's been talking to, and AC Milan as well. AC Milan
and Palace. Yeah. Palace reckon they're going to have an answer in the next 24 hours on what he's going to do. Great replacement for Glasner.
But yeah, that's what when people hear the word strategic, unfortunately, our fan base, and it's a PTSD
It's a
thing.
PTSD thing. It is.
Our fan base go, we're skint. We've got no money. We're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not. We have to look at it slightly differently. Whereas in the Championship, you get away with chucking a load of money at it because you can almost amortize it slightly easier when you come up into the Premier League. When you're in the Premier League, it's a lot harder to do, and particularly with the SCR.
That 3-year period is gone now. So it's 12 months. It's this year. It's per year. So it does make it a lot tighter. And also means that if any sales that we made last year that might have helped us this year, they won't now. They're gone. Cool. So whatever we make this year. So, and again, I mean, the big point on doing it on the cheap line that gets thrown out every now and then by people is we're not living in a world where an owner can go, here's £1 billion, go spend it on players. Like, you're just not allowed to do that anymore. Like you've got an 85% cap. That's it. And that's also your wages. So, you know, if you want to go out and buy a big player, you've also got to pay his wage, and that's coming out your transfer kitty as well. So you've got to be smart. Now, going into the summer, Paul, there's question marks on a few players whose contracts are out this June. So in a couple of days' time. Sam Byram.
Yep.
For all intents and purposes, looked like Sam could be heading away from the club. Alex Cairns, again, out of contract. Carl Darlow talks this week from the Daily Mail that Spurs have reached out and made contact with him. And Ilan Meslier. Now, there are a host of clubs. You mentioned Sevilla before I came on. Lorient have been linked with him. Inter Milan looked at him apparently last year as well. He's a free transfer, so he looks like he said goodbye to Elland Road as well. Stroke's an interesting one because he has got another year left on his contract. But you look at that photograph that he put up with himself, Meslier, Jorginho Rutter, Joe Pirou, and Willie Nanto. There's huge question marks around Joe Pirou as well. So Stroke's core group of friends could be all gone from the club, and he might be at a point in his career where he's looking at it and going, I'd like to do something else, or try something else, or try a different league, or try a different, club, because he's been at Leeds a long time. And to be fair to him, he's gone through an awful lot at Leeds. And I think that's the reason why he keeps being thrown up as the sacrificial lamb in this, of going, well, Stroke's the obvious one. And I think it's the obvious one because there's a year left on his contract. And he might want to go himself. Not saying that he does, but it does look like the one where, well, there would be interest in him. He would represent profit for the club as well. They can use that money. Maybe it's him. But of the ones that are leaving right now, we'll get to the ones with 1 year left in a second. Of those four, Darlow, Cairns, Byram, and Meslier, a bit of a change across the goalkeeping department and some of the more experienced defenders.
Sorry, I keep hitting my microphone. It's very, very low. I apologise. It's a difficult one. It is interesting because if you look at the Instagram post at the end of the season from Nanto, from Pirou more recently actually, but also as well from, like you said, from Strout, they're very much not looking forward to next season, or it's very much not that there's a goodbye. And again, right, please. This is me interpreting something here. This isn't me saying this is truth. This is just an interpretation. But it's very much almost a goodbye. It's almost a very, like you said, the picture with the group of them all together, or, just the words that they've used and little things that they've said and the particular.
Well, Nanto more so because he said, thank you, Elland Road.
Yeah, which is very kind of, thank you very much. And I'll kind of see you later kind of thing. So it's a tough one. I'm perfectly happy with Strout going because I know background what that has the potential to represent for us as a club from a monetary point of view. For Nanto, I'm a little bit more not so much okay with it because I actually really like Nanto and I think he could really work really well in this squad. But this is me. This is head me telling heart me, no. Just remember what you've just said 5 minutes ago. There are going to be occasions where stuff's going to happen that you're not going to like, or players are going to go that you don't want to go. But it means that we're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Pirou, I think we've all known pretty much probably from January that he was pretty much going to be off. I think we knew that was going to be the case. But then you've also, just to chuck into the mix with this as well, Joe, you've got Ramazani coming back. What do you do with what happens with Ramazani?
Well, again, that's an interesting because Valencia have said they won't be making a bid for him. Apparently, the wages are the problem there. They had a mid-table finish, just missed out on Europe. So he's not gone back to Valencia, but he did have a very good season. So there is a potential. I just don't think, and this is where, whether we like it or not, and it is a whether we like it or not scenario, you have to take off your fan hat for a second and go, if I'm the manager, and again, ignore the players Daniel Farke likes and doesn't like, but if you're a manager, you're not going to love every single player. Not every single player is going to give you exactly what you want. There will be players in your squad you go, I prefer this type of player because he does X, Y, Z. Ilya Groove will always be the example of that. People will scratch their head and go, why does he play Ilya Groove so often? A lot of coaches would look at it and go, doesn't give the ball away, covers defensive lines, can fill in gaps, plays a part, especially when you want to keep things tight. That's not always the way people want to play, but that's the way this manager wants to play. So that player suits his style. Player like Ramazani, high risk player, will take chances, will give the ball away. And that goes against Daniel Farke's style. He's very much possession first. So there's that. Nanto possibly falls into that bracket as well. But for me, I look at Nanto, and again, Nanto's got 2 years left on his contract, so he's doesn't have to go anywhere. Our decision doesn't need to be made necessarily this summer on him. But for me, I think he's 22 years of age. I think his ceiling's still pretty high. I think if he had come through the youth academy at 22, we'd be saying, this kid's played a huge amount of football for this age. You know, he's got plenty of time to develop. But because he's been here since he was very young, it's like, well, he's not playing every week, so he needs to go. But there is a question mark in my head of, if Daniel Farke had a second Noah Okafor, would Willie Nanto even get on the park at all? You know, would he go off somewhere else? So that's where the hat needs to change. I mean, you look at the players that are there and the ones that we've mentioned, and you think, Pierre's pretty much going to go. Barry kicked the ball this season. Manager's not using them. Willie Nanto, possibly. Manager's not using them that much. I think he should have used them an awful lot more. Stroke, 1 year left on his contract. Could be a player call here as well. Might not necessarily be Leeds at all making the decision on this. He could be saying to the club, look, I've done everything I want to do here. We're in a good position. I'd like to leave on a high. You know, given what happened the last time. Thanks very much. I would be happy if Stroke stayed and if Nanto stayed. No problem at all. And the reason with Stroke is 27 years of age. His better years of football are still ahead of him. He's a left-sided centre-back who does very well in the 3. Not so much in the 2, but then Bial doesn't work in the 2 either.
No.
But he's very good in that 3. And if you do let him go, you've got to replace him with equal, if not better quality, and a left footer ideally as well.
Correct.
Not essential, but ideal, in an ideal situation. So there are complications to doing that. And if you do sell him for 20, 25 million, if you even get that for a player with a year left on his contract, can you get somebody in of equal or better quality for that price, or less than that price if you want to save some pennies as well? So he's in that bracket with 1 year left. In the 1 year left bracket, you've got Ampadu, Stroke, Piru, Mecha, Gruev, Aronson, and the manager himself, Daniel Farke. So there are decisions that will need to be made this summer around one definitely key player, Ampadu, possibly 2, Stroke, and Lucas Mecha as well. And then, Max Verber. Throw him into the mix as well.
Joffrey as well.
He goes. Joffrey. Well, Joffrey's definitely looks like he's gonna head off.
I don't know where some Hull players think that Hull fans think that they're gonna get Joffrey for £3 million. But
£3 million I saw as well after the season he's just had.
After a 20 GNA season, not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. 8 million, I would absolutely snap your hands off at.
10.
Yeah, the interesting thing with it is, particularly when you look at those 3 players. So
Joffrey outperformed Gus Hamer and this season and last season, this year in his numbers. So if Hamer was worth 18 to 20 million last summer, Joffrey's worth more than 3.
Correct.
And his age is good as well.
And since they've had their transfer embargo, or it's going to be lifted, is it the end of June?
Yeah. And June.
And that means that there'll be money there for them to spend with going up, because they're not in the same 3-year cycle that we were in either. So they're going to have a similar sort of level of restriction to what, I hate mentioning it all the time, to what Sunderland had in terms of what they're actually allowed to spend or what they can get away with spending. So they should be all right. But when you look at it in terms of like the Strike, Nanto, Ramazan, if you want to pull those 3 as a particular group of players together, I would be happy for Strouk to stay. But then I would be then it's a case of, well, both Ramazani and Nanto would have to go. I don't think I'm like you. I would be happy if Ramazani and Nanto stay. If Strouk and Nanto stay, be absolutely fine with that. Not a problem at all. However, for me, the key one is Strouk. If I'm to put on purely being a fan and from a football side of things, I would want Strouk to stay, because he represents that little bit that just tidies up that left-hand side of the 3 at the back for us. but I can understand why.
I get that he
was
has
there.
his failings. I understand that he has got a mistake in, and we've seen that this season. But he is, again, people jump on this, and I know they'll jump on it again. But at 27 years of age, he is not in his peak years as a centre back.
No.
They are coming ahead of him 28, 29, 30, 31, right? They're ahead of him. And I still think he's had a very good season. And he's probably still our best ball playing centre back that we've got in that squad. So
he's had like 207 recoveries this year, 90% passing ratio, which, I know some of it's sideways. And
aerial duels are very high as well.
Still, aerial duels are very, very good for him as well. And, I got shot down for mentioning about high pressure, high intensity pressures.
When are you going to learn that you're not allowed to say an opinion on social media?
Well, do you know what it is? It's not, it's the not understanding the distinction between the two. And just to make it clear again, a high intensity pressure doesn't mean dribbling with the ball or just running around. It's a press. That's what it is. So I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to lose. I lost my shit over it yesterday. I'm not going to do it again today. Had enough.
How to start an argument on the internet? Express an opinion.
Yeah, true.
Wait.
True. For those listening on the audio version of this, Jer is now furiously scribbling on a piece of paper to note down the time when Paul said his little bit that he said. So
exactly what I'm doing, actually. Yeah,
exactly. I'm not stupid. My face is getting redder here now as well. Look, I'm sweating down. It's not good.
The only one.
I know, but it to go back to from the player sales kind of things and what we sort of need to do and contracts and where people are and everything. Come on, be professional. And contracts and where people are and everything. It's a tough one, but there are so many decisions that need to be made this summer. Not only with the new guy to come in on the board to replace Murray, but you've got Captain Ampadu, who you're going to have. There's going to be people sniffing around.
To be locked. That's a void. That
pay him what he wants. Pay him what he wants.
Barker walks if Ampadu doesn't get a new deal. If we agree to sell Ampadu,
I absolutely agree with that. He is. Ampadu is Farke's guy. He needs absolutely 100% locking down without question. Without question. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made over the summer, and it's just my only request to the club, not that I'm in any position to make any requests, is please don't leave it till the last minute.
Yeah.
Please don't leave it until thing. Don't let a really, really successful season, particularly with the fans and the good grace that's been built up with the fans, don't let that turn toxic over the summer. We know there's a World Cup on. It's going to be difficult to,
But he's not going to a World Cup, so he'll be around.
True. But I'm talking about other signings that might come in. There's a World Cup on. People need to remember that.
Oh, they're going to leave it late. I mean, they'll probably try and get one or two done before the World Cup, and then the rest will be after the World Cup.
Yeah.
I think the
Harry
World
Wilson.
Cup
Go get Harry Wilson.
Not talk about that. James Trafford as well. A little birdie said that there's possibly more talk about James Trafford as well. And then we've been linked with by the way, Andrea Radrizzani got very apologies, Andrea. Andrea Russo got very excited with Lucas Hornacek being linked because he's a keeper. He picked it a while ago as well and really likes. So
he's one of the top, but he's one of the top keepers in Europe. Hornacek. He's young, but he's incredible. He's very much in the Savic mold, I think, in terms of keepers. When you look at them, big guy, knows how to
go with his feet.
Yeah, incredible. I think you mentioned it on your news video today. 90% or something more
in his own half. Yeah, 90% passing accuracy in his own half, 75 in the entire.
Yeah, which is what you want, which is great. Which is great for a keeper. It's just it's nuts that we're not getting. See, well, this is the other thing. This is what I know. Let's not get excited. Let's not get too excited with it. But what does that mean for Perry?
Well, that's the question. Like, does Daniel Farke give him another year? Do we wait and see if we end up with the goalkeeper that Leon had in Perry? But the same factor will be there. They knew the distribution was going to be a problem when they brought him in. Mm-hmm. He's better with his hands long throw than he is with his feet. That's not going to change. It's not going to change. So maybe we have to see. Either way, one goalkeeper has to come in. So at least
incredible hair transformation this season, though. I'm not jealous of that.
I'm very jealous of that.
I'm just, it would be lovely if that would be the case. But yeah, incredible hair transformation. But listen, and I'd like to put this on record from me, not that it matters anything, but just I have to give Perry credit. Not heard of him complaining, not heard of him being disruptive with the squad, not heard of him being because he's not been number one or bits and pieces and stuff like that. I think he's recognised his position and just gotten on with it, which is that's all that you can ask for, really, isn't it? That's all that you can want your players to do. You don't want them to kick up a fuss. You don't want them to be getting annoyed about X, Y, and Z. Just
No.
get on with your job
Get
for
on
this
with
time being. And he's gotten on with it, which is a very, very difficult situation for him. And so I think sometimes we forget as well that he's coming into a completely different league. The intensity, the physicality of the Premier League is like nothing else on earth, realistically speaking, as well. So it's credit to him for that, I suppose.
Yeah, and he's got better season going on. He had a very good FA Cup. I mean, non-existent in the semi-final. Like, there wasn't, you couldn't say a peep. And I thought he was excellent against West Ham until that like 5-minute spell in extra time where he went a little bit mental. But outside of that, I thought he was brilliant in that game as well.
Yeah.
Right, so that's what's leaving this summer. Byram, Cairns, Darlow, Meslier. So we'll have to see what happens there. Next year, Ampadu, Stroke, Piru, Mecha, Gruev, Aronson, Vober, and Joffe. Vober's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
He played 1.5 games this season for Werder Bremen, injured all year, came back, got injured. Guess what? Missed the final day of the season, had to come back from injury because he was sick.
Injured.
No, he was sick. He was ill.
Sick? Oh, God. Right.
Missed it because of ill. I mean, Jesus, get out of bed and get on the pitch, man.
Yeah,
he missed the whole season.
I'm going to throw Wharton into that mix. Sorry to interject. What did Wharton say last night? He turned around and said a swollen ankle wasn't going to stop me from playing in this final.
Yeah. I broke a toe and played a Gilligan Cup final in Dublin with an injection in my foot. Like, I wasn't going to miss a cup final. Yeah, exactly. Just a broken toe. Forget about it. You know, just
I think
warrior Max forever. Though he's a warrior. Remember, he's a warrior.
Oh, absolute warrior. Same as Christiansen as well.
God damn it! Yeah.
Just because you roar after a tackle doesn't make you a Viking. God, man. God, it just does my head in.
I don't think he ever said he was a Viking hard man.
I'm just saying it is because it makes him sound even more pathetic than what he is. But
what do you do with these players, Paul? Because there's this decision. We think, and we're just speculating. And that, just to be clear, we are just speculating. Don't come back to me in 2 months' time and say you said online, blah blah blah. Piru looks like he's going to go.
Yeah,
they'll have to try and offload Vober or cancel a contract or something because that's just not going to. He's not going to play. Joffe looks like he's probably going to go, and there is interest outside of Hull, so that's that one. Brendan Aronson, there is rumblings of an extension of his contract, but that after the season he's had, which has been a decent season, whether people like him or not, it's been a decent season for him compared to his previous years.
Yeah,
there could be interest in him as well. You could cash out on that one as well. Ilya Groove will be an interesting one with 1 year to go. Looking at players linked, and they're only rumors. But looking at players that are linked defensive midfield seems to be one area Leeds are looking at. So you could be looking at an upgrade there. Tanner Tessman.
Well done.
From a link with McLeon's been big boy. American international, which looks at a couple of people automatically. But he is a big boy and he is a very physical player. He ticks a lot of boxes. His defensive stats are very, very good. I remember his name because of that Irish TikTok comedian who, when he does an American accent, always uses Tanner as an example for one of his kids. So Tanner Tessman is one there, and then Ethan Ampadu a decision needs to be made on him. What do you do, Lucas Mecha? He's got a year left on his contract. He's been pretty decent for Leeds. He's still 27 years of age.
Extend it.
Extend it for a year.
Give him another year, because if Piro's going, you give Mecha another year. In my opinion.
What if you get an offer for him though, financial? Because you brought him in for nothing. What if you get offered money for him?
If we get offered money for him and it's decent and it represents a good return, you've got to remember in his first season in the Premier League, his goals ratio thing is ridiculous. He's played very, very well.
Best goals per minute ratio in the Premier League.
Yeah, unbelievable. And he's a really funny player to watch because he can look like Bambi on ice 1 minute and the next minute he's doing super skills and doing, Manchester Youth Academy stuff, Manchester City Youth Academy stuff and spinning the balls around and stuff and everything. But if we get offered decent money for him, then I suppose you would put it to him as an option and let him go. If somebody came in and said, right, we'll give you 10 million for Mecha. I'm just pulling figures out of the air. As a club, we would be silly. No. You're not saying no to that. But if Piro's going, then Mecha would stay. For me, Mecha would absolutely stay. If you're looking at Wober, I think both Wober and Harrison need to have sensible, down-to-earth conversations with the board. And
I think Jack has already hinted at this. I think
there needs to be some agreement needs to come into place where the contracts are cancelled, maybe a little bit of a more palatable Patrick Bamford situation where we turn around and go, right, we will give you X amount of pounds. Thank you very much for your service. but let's cancel the contract and let's move on. We'll save ourselves X amount of pounds over the next couple of years for wages, which can go back into the coffers. But I think both Harrison and Wober will be contract cancellations. That's, for me, that would be the most sensible thing to happen. We're not going to get somebody to come in and offer money for them.
I take whatever's on the table for Jack Harrison. If they offer a small amount of money, I take it at this point. Just that be done. He's got 2 years left on his contract at Leeds, so there's still money owed there, and you could cost yourself more money than you want to. Again, football revenue. So be careful with that one. But I mean, Fiorentina are not signing him. That's been made pretty clear over there. But if you're another Italian side and you look at what he has done, he's done all right. He's done all right. I mean, he had 1 assist in 2 seasons. That was it. And he's managed goals and assists since he's gone to Italy. So maybe someone looks at him and thinks, maybe.
The newly promoted Italian side would maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think Barry went up to this year. Maybe one of them have a look at him as well, or stayed up. Matteo Joseph, he isn't going anywhere next season because he did his ACL. So he is out of action till at least Christmas. So no one's taking him.
Might not be the worst thing for Joseph. I like Joseph. I like him as a player, more so for the potential that he has. But as horrible as this injury is, and an ACL injury, I've had an ACL injury, not that I was in any way, shape, or form a professional footballer, but it's an incredibly horrible injury to have. And it's the mental strength that you need to have to come back from that. It might not be the worst thing for him if he's just having to sit and reassess for 9 months, maybe potentially, just to reopen and look at where he's at and what he's doing and what he believes in himself.
Slow down a minute.
Correct, because I think there's still probably a bit of a bitter taste in Farke's mouth with the whole Germany incident. Absolutely. And also with the fans as well, because that just made them all go, what a tit.
And he made a comment when he signed for Mallorca. And I said this at the time. When he signed for Mallorca, he made a comment that he, at some point he'll tell the truth of what happened. And he did an interview during the year where basically he said what Daniel Farke said wasn't correct. That was said by a player in my mind who thought, I'm gone. Yeah. I'm never going. And then your ACL gets done and
now you've got to go back.
Music on this one. I sometimes think he's very badly advised, but I think there is a decent young striker in there. He needs another decent young striker. We've another decent young striker coming through, Paul, and that's Harry Gray. So of the loanees that have gone out, and again, this is where I think Leeds can bring in some money this summer. Jack Harrison, Matteo Joseph, Largi Ramazani, Isaac Schmidt, Max Ferber, Harry Gray. They're the main ones.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get anybody else in there outside of the younger players who will be back in the 21s. Harrison, we talked about. Joseph talked about. Largi Ramazani, I think there's interest in Norwich in him. It's pretty solid interest from what I've read. And again, he had a very good season in Spain. So again, other clubs in Spain might fancy a crack at him there. Isaac Schmidt, in and out of the Werder Bremen side this season, very much played a similar role to what he did at Leeds. A few more minutes. So I reckon he comes back and we got to figure that one out. Could be heading back towards Belgium maybe for him, for his career. And then Harry Gray. Jermaine Beckford spoke with Harry Gray this week, and he said needs to go out on loan again next season, needs to go to the Championship. There is a very talented young striker there. He's very talented, but we need to be patient with him, and we need to let him make the right moves at the right time, and he needs to develop. And he says go out on loan the Championship next season. So there's that one.
I agree with Beckford. Beckford is 100% right on that. When we bought Beckford from being from being an RAC window fitter to where he is now, or where he originally was, one of the first, going out to Scunthorpe on loan. I mean, everybody remembers the goal he scored for Scunthorpe, where he does a little drag back behind his back and runs out left-footed shot, ping into the top corner, and you can just see what of a good player he is. But that going out on loan is really, really important for him, and will do a lot for him as well. And he's done the blood in himself in League One, which has been fantastic for him, just to get that, the proper blood and thunder of playing in League One. We all know what that's like. We watched it. But then that next progression up to the Championship, and it being a little bit more technical, but with the physicality chucked in as well, it will be brilliant for him. And people need to remember his age as well. He is still, he's still 17. A child. He's still a child. So, we've got a very, very decent player in there. He needs that experience out on loan. Definitely for me, I would 100% agree with that.
Get that right, and you've got a longevity there. Again, they're talking about the Harry Kane model that was done with him. He did several loans before he made it look the player he is. So get that one right. Take your time with it. Okay, just clarify some of the deck. Let's clear the deck now of that stuff before we wrap up. We had the Crescencio Somerville story this morning. Graham Smith has come out with an article this afternoon that's basically said it's not true that there is a sell-on clause. Sorry, not a sell-on clause. That there is a international clause where Leeds will get 5 million quid if he plays an international game. So I do want to share this with everyone because I'm going to get asked questions about this. So I want to be very transparent on it. This is where the very original piece of information came around this, and it came from a source on a West Ham account. This was back in July 31st, 2024, and it says Crescencio Somerville's financials are thought to be 25 million base transfer fee paid in installments with a further 5 million of performance-based standard add-ons. An additional clause related to a full senior international debut means Leeds could earn as much as 34 million if all add-on conditions are met. Somerville signs a 5-year deal with the Hammers following a medical, which was booked for Thursday. So that was what he signed then. That came out from West Ham Football, an account that has 54,000 followers. Not that that's a metric of, being credible or not, but it was seen at that time as being very credible because everybody ran with it. And that's where the information has come from since then. So that was the source of it. That's where the information has come from. Graham Smith is now saying he spoke to source of the club and they said no. The other side to this is people said, well, it's not really in West Ham or Leeds' interest to let anybody know that this exists right now because West Ham are going down. It's more money they have to give out the door, considering they have their eyeballs in debt. And from a Leeds perspective, they want to set expectations and more money coming in. From that perspective, changes expectations a little bit. So I get that side of it as well. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there is a little bit to that. But the other side of it is Graham Smith is far more credible than most people. He's checked with the club. The club have said, no. That's that. You're thinking.
I am thinking. I'm trying not to put a really long dead air pause in your in either your audio or the video for you, Joe. But what I will say is every man and his dog, and I don't just mean every man and his dog, I mean all reputable news sources were saying the same thing, that there was an international clause put into the deal. And if you look at what that says on there, so 25 million plus 5 million for...
I'll give you the dates, Paul. I'll give you the dates. Yeah. I'll give you the dates on when it was reported. 31st of July 2020. Sorry, first one was that one there, which was where is it gone? I'll go backwards. 31st of July 2024 was the first time. 1st of August 24. 2nd of August 2024, another article about it. 3rd of August 2024, another article about it. 5th of August 2024, another one again came from a West Ham account. 8th of August 2024 from Hammers News, and 16th of August was picked up by Leeds all over. But outside of that, all West Ham accounts have been tweeting that information.
Yeah, so that tells me that there is the potential for there to be a modicum of truth in that. But like I was saying, from a maths point of view, where they're saying that it could rise to all in 34 million quid.
34 million.
Yeah, so 25 million initial fee, 5 million in performance related bonuses takes you to 30, which means there's 4 million floating around for something else. That's what the something else is, in my opinion.
Or it could be a European qualification, or it could be a European trophy.
Correct.
We're obviously
Correct.
So it could be that. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. And again, I do know, before someone says to me, these are coming from online Twitter accounts. But that's how everyone puts this stuff out nowadays. So that's where they have been taken from. And again, from accounts of far more followers than we have here. So it's slightly more credible. But yeah, it's an interesting one. The timing of it's interesting, I think, as well, that all of a sudden this has been debunked. Why wasn't it debunked in January and it was talked about then? Why wasn't it debunked in March when it came up in March as well? Because it did. When he was called up initially to the Dutch squad in March, it was talked about heavily. Not a word from anybody about it.
I believe Graham Smith even said something himself about that when he was called up in March, about the...
I don't know for a fact, but it was out there. It was.
The
other one is okay. Charlie Creswell is the other one. So loads of interest in him. Brighton, Crystal Palace, Wolfsburg in Germany. A couple of clubs in Central Europe and in Italy interested in him as well. 6 goals this year. Really good season for Charlie Creswell. Again, they've rejected a £21.7 million bid from Wolfsburg in January. I'm laughing because we got £3.8 million for him. And even with 25 million, whatever, 15% of 25 million, it's still just £3.8
million.
Oh, talk about getting ones wrong. A lot of, and we did think at the time, this is why are we selling him so soon? Loan him out for 2 years. He's just signed a 5-year deal. We didn't. We sold him. So off you went. Anyway,
just on that, Joe. One of the things that I do want to, I know this seems to be a regular thing that the club or that fans really want to beat the club with a lot because of the situation around Charlie Creswell. whilst I agree to an extent that it was a mistake selling him, this is what happens in football sometimes. At that moment in time, Cresswell wanted guarantees that he was going to get first team football consistently. But there were two
I
other.
don't think that's exactly what happened.
There's rumblings that's what went on.
Well, he wanted to play more.
That's it. Play more.
And his father put a tweet out that basically said, "I'd like to see my son play sometime," because he went to Paraag and asked to play more, and then all of a sudden he was dropped from the squad.
Yeah.
Completely. And I
think the tweet from his dad didn't help.
Didn't help. I think it was, it didn't help at all. But that was it. Relationship broken with Farke, off he went. Sold. Now, I mean, come here, he's not the first manager to do that. I mean, let's not forget Pontus Jansson refused to come back from his holidays for pre-season training with Bielsa, and Bielsa told the club to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Gone. 5 million quid to Brentford, 8 million, whatever it was to Brentford. So managers will do that. You're not going to pay by the rules, you can go. You don't want to be here, leave. So yeah, either way, look, the dust is settled on that. It's done. There's nothing we can do about it. So there's no point in losing sleep over.
Move on, everybody. Just move on.
Just move on from it. Yeah. But the point is, if we can get the maximum amount from this, it could help us something as well. So if he does go for the 25 million that Toulouse want him to go for, and he might, because they've already rejected 21, then Leeds would get 3.7 million pounds. So again, in an SDR world, that's money coming in from a football related business. That helps well. And if there is anything to the sum of a one, you could be looking at 10. If there's nothing to that, then we've got to make sure we maximize Ramazani, Schmidt, Vober, Harrison, possibly Piru in that mix as well, and see if we can bring in as much money as we can.
What I would say with regards to Harrison and Wober, just look at it as getting the wages off of the books. Don't look at it as an income coming in. Look at it as the potential to get their wages off of the books. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you've got to calculate Harrison's will be a contract cancellation because he's not mutually terminating that bad boy. He's on he is still technically Leeds' most highest paid player at the club because of the deal that he signed the year he went down before he went after they moved to Leicester.
Do we know what DCL's on?
No. It's gotta be 80 grand more.
No, there's reports he's on over. I mean, I don't. Again, this is speculation.
I heard 110 during the summer, but I didn't believe it.
I heard 110 as well. 110 is what I heard.
I didn't believe it though. I don't know if I believe it, but I don't know.
For 15 goals in one season, he can have my left testicle as well as 110.
I mean, we'll see. You can offer it to him, see how he feels about it.
I'm old now, so it's kind of shriveled and kind of small, and it's not very useful. So,
someone said to me today, "Nice new graphics." I can see Paul saying something inappropriate in the background, and Jerry laughing. I was like, "Yeah."
It doesn't take long.
Definitely.
It doesn't take long.
It doesn't take long, and I never wanted to change.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Anyway, folks, that'll be it for us tonight. Thanks for joining us. We will have a keep, sell, loan stream that everyone and their mother does. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have a look back at the predictions that we made as well once everybody is available for that. And once Jerry's back with Hollybops as well. And then we'll get into what Leeds need going into the summer. A couple of guests coming on over the next couple of weeks on the podcast as well. So you can keep an eye out for that. If you do like the content and you enjoy the channel, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this. Back tomorrow morning with today's news. And today's news is linked somewhere over on one of these sides around me and Paul's faces right now. Paul, thanks for joining me, Paul. Appreciate you.
Pleasure, as always.
See you guys.